What's going on, YouTube? And welcome back here to another day here in Walt Disney World. Today we're in Minecraft's version of Walt Disney World, and leave in the comments down below, where are we today exactly? Leave me the exact location, because you guys know where we are, but what are we in front of? Let me know. I'll give you a little hint real quick. Alright, so let's get into today's video. Today we are, if you didn't see the title, at Disney's Contemporary Resort. And this is the first time we'll be doing this type of video here on the channel. So basically what we are doing is looking at some of the resorts. We're doing a resort tour, and we are looking at one of the originals. This is an OG. This is a day one resort at Disney's Walt Disney World. And what's interesting about the Contemporary, there's a lot of history, just for starters, just because the amount of time it's been open. The Contemporary opened with Walt Disney World October 1st, 1971. So obviously there's the significance that it opened as a day one. You know, we talk about day one attractions all the time, but what about a day one resort? That is the case here for the Contemporary. And what's interesting with the Contemporary, so at the opening, the plan was for the Contemporary to sort of be the one that everybody was going to go to on day one. They were going to have the press conferences and all the presentation and things like that at the Contemporary, but it wasn't exactly done yet. So they ended up holding the press conference and all the media in 1971. That all ended up going to the Polynesian Resort, which I'm sure we will do a video on in the future. So I'm trying to get a good thumbnail picture. Let's see. That's not too bad. Let's go with that. So from there, obviously the main appeal of this resort is the proximity to Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom, the Space Mountain is literally right there. If we were in real life, you could see Space Mountain from there. You could blow a kiss to Space Mountain from the rooms at the Contemporary Resort. That's the first thing. Second thing, which you're probably looking at right now, is what is that? And if you've never been to Disney World or the Contemporary, you would not understand. That is a monorail track, indeed, going through the building, which is also really cool. And that is the only resort that actually has the monorail go actually through the building. There are a couple ones that are kind of close. The Polynesian's pretty close to that. Also the, what is it called? We'll get to this in a minute. The Polynesian and the Grand Floridian, it's pretty close, but I wouldn't consider it exactly going through the building like it does at the Contemporary. And it comes on each side, so it comes on this side and that side. There's a lot of rich history in this building as well. You've obviously got the Mary Blair depiction. You've got like goats climbing up a mountain. You got the five-legged goat, which is obviously up here, a very infamous goat. You've got which always seems to be evolving recently, like the merchandise and the store. You've got the market, the fountain, the Fantasia market. You've got, I think it's called the Fountain or something like that. You got something like that over here. You have all this over here. And then, of course, another big thing at this resort is Chef Mickey's and the Contempo Cafe. So Contempo Cafe, not really as well known, but Chef Mickey's, this is where you get to meet all of the Disney Fab Five. This is the place where you get all your pictures with the characters and do all of that stuff. This is the spot. And the only memory I have as a kid was actually here at the Contemporary at Chef Mickey's. That was the only thing I really did in the Contemporary Resort. We really didn't stay here. We stayed at Pop Century. We weren't staying at the bougie resorts. So this has a lot of sentimental value in terms of my childhood. One of the few memories I remember on those early trips was spending time with my family here at Chef Mickey's up against the wall. We were like at one of the, actually, it might have been this exact area now that I think about it. Um, so, yeah, so that's over there. And obviously, that's a big spot for the kiddos. A very, very popular um, restaurant, I guess you could say, if you would even call it that. It's basically buffet food. It's like the Crystal Palace, but at the Contemporary Resort. Now, another really interesting thing, I don't remember exactly which building it is, or which convention building it's in, but in 1973, there's a lot of historical history here. Richard Nixon had a press conference. Basically, his I am not a crook speech was held here in the Contemporary Resort. How wild is that? And it was in one of these very ballrooms here. One of these ballrooms he held his press conference, which is insane, right? Like, you think about, American history, true American history happening here in the Contemporary Resort. And this is good to know because the next time I go to Disney, I do want to go to Steakhouse 71. You obviously have a lot of interesting offerings food-wise. You've got Steakhouse 71, which is one of the newer offerings here at the Contemporary Resort. And this is obviously a nod to 1971, which is when this resort had opened. A lot of connection to Walt Disney. There's a lot of paint, kind of artwork and pictures of Walt going through the process of making this entire resort, right? And the planning and everything else that was kind of going on for Walt Disney World when Walt was still around. So you've got that. I really don't know the Contemporary that well, so I could very easily get lost here. Okay, so we did make it up. So the monorail obviously is right here. Over here you've got I gotta figure out how to get up. This is embarrassing. I'm doing a video for you guys, and I really don't know the Contemporary that well. I think this is the first time I'm actually going into the Contemporary in general here. So this is definitely an interesting thing. Oh, there's another fun thing to talk about, actually. I forgot to mention that. So another really interesting thing about the Contemporary is this is it. This is how the elevator system. So the way the elevator works, depending on what floor you're going on, you will hear from one of the Fab Five characters, and they kind of say, like, you'll hear in a Mickey voice, "We are going to this floor," or whatever. And it is kind of cool. That's the kind of stuff that's the Disney difference, right? Like, when you see that kind of stuff, I love that. That is the stuff that really makes Disney Disney. So you could hear, I think, Daisy, Mickey, Goofy, Minnie, Donald. I think those are the ones that you could hear from. This is another really popular spot. This is what they call kind of the top of the world. And sometimes they hold, I remember recently they had like a villains event here. And they had like specialty, items and things for the villains, watching an exclusive of the fireworks, which again, this area is a very good spot for fireworks, and it's not easy to get in there necessarily. They have New Year's Eve offerings, I believe, too, so they do all that stuff. What else do we have? I guess these are rooms. Yeah, obviously you can't see from here, but this is an incredible spot. Actually, this is a good spot for us to go right now. So this is obviously the main courtyard area here. You got the pool. You got all that stuff. I don't actually know what that is. I think that's the convention center side of the Contemporary. You obviously have your hot tub over there. There's a couple of different buildings in this complex. I really don't spend too much time here, so it's hard for me to really act like I know what I'm talking about in this area. There is a lot going on here. I do know what that is. That is one of the first, if not the first, Disney Vacation Club resort. And either people love that or they hate that. But that is the beginning of the DVC resort sort of thing, and that is Bay Lake Tower, which, as good of a view as you have from the Contemporary, you are even closer to Magic Kingdom from Bay Lake Tower. So that's a really cool thing there. So we've got that. I really want to see, there's another restaurant. I definitely know it's in here. I don't remember exactly where it is though. But the Garden Grill is another restaurant that is also here in the Contemporary Resort. Somewhere. It's somewhere in here. I guess they don't want us going up there. But you have another restaurant. So you got a couple restaurants, pretty like high dining. Garden Grill, Steakhouse 71. Those are fine dining restaurants in Walt Disney World Resort. So those are definitely some big hitters. And yeah, you could see the actual, I mean, obviously from here, it's kind of hard to see because you can't actually get up there, but you could see the monorails from down, from like actually from here, you can see all that stuff. And let's see, can we get out? Yes, perfect. So from here you could see more of the convention center kind of stuff over there too. The Contemporary Resort is a very big complex. Like other than the Bay Lake Tower and the actual main building, there's a lot going on here. Another really interesting thing, it's kind of easier to see from the outside, but technically this whole resort, there's a couple of floors with like Incredibles theming and that kind of, that contemporary modern, that sort of theming that is over here in some of the rooms. But what's really interesting is the way Disney used to be very innovative. They had this concept that you could actually take the rooms out selectively when you wanted to replace them and just like almost like slots, like pull the room out of the slot and replace it with another room. Now, the thing that, as much as that was very innovative and was a very much a contemporary idea, they forgot where they were working. And that is Central Florida, which very uneven sediment and ground. Unfortunately, the structure actually sunk in, and it's to the point where these rooms will probably, they shifted and moved and whatever, and you really can't take these rooms out and replace them. It's not gonna ever happen. But that was the original concept when they were put in, and as they are today, even put in, that was the idea. And then they started to have issues where, because of the spacing, because the way it was going to lay out, it's almost like it's on like a gliding track, each room. And the idea was obviously taking these out. I mean, there's a lot of space in between each room, and they had a major mold problem. So Disney had to go in and basically, I guess they put spray foam or putty or whatever they put into the crevices to prevent mold from growing in those areas, and they had to completely clean out those spots. And it was apparently really bad. It was a major issue with mold in the Contemporary Resort. So kind of an interesting thing there. A lot of people come down here for business and things like that, and it makes a lot of sense, right? Disney, you get the appeal of Disney. You're right next to the Magic Kingdom. You could charge top dollar to these big businesses. I know my mom actually did a little trip down there with her business back in the day. So it is a pretty it's a normal thing that does happen. They hold conventions and things like that at Disney World, which is pretty cool. I'm trying to think of what else I want to add. I mean, I guess real quick, we could talk about Bay Lake Tower before we close out. Bay Lake Tower was kind of an interesting thing because, like I said, it was a DVC. It was one of the first, or the first DVC resort. You can see this little bridge here. It actually connects right to the Contemporary Resort, and it ended up opening up in 2009. But they started work on it well before that. They were bulldozing and taking out they had a garden, they had a racket court, they had a lot of interesting stuff in this area for the Contemporary Resort before they built Bay Lake Tower. But obviously now Bay Lake Tower is this area, and like I said, it has a lot of history because it is one of, or the first, DVC resorts on Walt Disney World property. I apologize for that. I kept hiccuping for some reason. So yeah, this is all right here. The Magic Kingdom's a skip and a hop over that way. You get some really good views in these rooms in the Big Lake Tower. And for better or for worse, this was the beginning of that sort of DVC the venture that Disney has taken. It kind of started with these buildings like Bay Lake Tower. So that, I think, is going to do it for today. I kind of went on and kind of said what I needed to say. This is a really nice resort. It's one of the, obviously, the deluxe resorts at Walt Disney World, not only for the location and just how close it is to the Magic Kingdom, but the history behind it with Walt and everything else that kind of this resort entails. They have some really, really top-class restaurants. Anything from the buffet, all you can eat at Chef Mickey's and the character meet and greet at Chef Mickey's, all the way to some really, really fine dining at Steakhouse 71 or the Garden Grill. So that's going to do it for today. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this, want to see more videos like it, if you have any suggestions for other resorts, and if they have them built here, I would definitely like to go and check out some of those other resorts. So yeah, thanks for watching, and have a magical day.